Hello, my name is Tammy Mackenzie, and I'm going to tell you how to use an LLM to build a business plan. First, my credentials. I spent about 20 years in a CPA firm and as a CFO and a controller in small businesses, occasionally as an account director in terms of operations or strategy for upwards of 50 SMEs per year. Before that, I was a bookkeeper. Since then, I am an MBA, a tech CEO. I'm a researcher. I'm working on research on how business can save the world, no less. I'm also the director of the Aula Fellowship for AI Science, Policy, and Tech. It's a think tank. So I facilitate groups of specialists to work on the hard questions of AI in society. And this is one of them. Can we use business to save the world? Well, so here's this video about how to do business planning with LLMs that's good for society. Here we go. So the first thing is we received a question. Can an LLM be trained on business plans or business consultancy reports? This is from a business consultant. He wants to know, can he feed an LLM, it's the wrong word, can he upload data from his practice to the LLM to train it in his ways? The answer is yes, you can, but actually it's already trained on that. So how these are built is they were trained on vast amounts of business plans. More than that, they're so well trained on them that I can do a whole business plan package from start to finish with an LLM in about a quarter of the time that I could before. So in 2022, 4 times as long to do the business plan. And we're talking the whole business plan. It can do PESTLs, it could do SWOTs, it could do cross SWOTs, analysis of cross, it could do porters, variations of porters, 5 forces, 6 forces, 7 forces, pick your forces, competition, competitivity analysis. It can do diagnostics. It can, you can give it facts about the business. It can do diagnostics. It could understand and analyze case studies, and it can produce operational plans for it, strategies for it, kind of literally endless strategies for it, categorizations of strategies for it. It's like the kids' candy store or buffet for strategies. It can do all of that already. So the thing is, the important thing when we're learning to do it is we have to see which use cases. Oh, it can do marketing too, communications plans. The important thing is we got to make the difference between what's low consequence, so that we have to check for, and what's high consequence, which are things that we have to control for. So let's talk a little bit about those. The high consequence, I'm also including things that are like high consequence for your client, but also high consequence to your honor and your own sense of self-worth. So operational plans, it can help you with delegation as well. So here's the strategic aspects we need to take into account when we're looking at those potential high consequence use cases of making and doing planning with LLMs. So it costs, or appears to cost, making all those things, using it in this way is currently going to be costing us as a planet more water and energy than we have. So this is pushing at the social level, a push for nuclear. The problem with nuclear is that despite the fact that there's smaller nuclear and larger nuclear, we still don't have actually well-tested, scalable ways to store nuclear waste. So we're talking pollution that can last tens of thousands of years or longer, containment systems that have to be identified for future generations so that they know not to mess with it or dig into it. I mean, just look at us. We see Egyptian tombs from 4,000 years ago with warnings on them and say, like, don't open it. and we're opening them constantly. So there's this real problem with how to store the waste that's incredibly polluting. So there's one. The next one is this. It's almost all, the models that we have access to right now are almost, not all, but almost all already trained on pirated materials, copyrighted materials, copy prohibited materials like abuse materials, and leaks from other people sharing their data. So all of that is being litigated and regulated. So you can imagine the diligence you need to do to be relying on it. So there's again, low consequence, high consequence. You have to be really balancing your use cases. Um, and again, well, we'll get to, there's certain limits to what we can balance in a use case. The employment outsourcing practices for the data workers on these systems are incredibly oppressive. They're incredible they're quite credible. In fact, we've seen them before. They're akin to 18th century slavery practices. A major difference being that slavers used to feed and house their workers, whereas these days people aren't even getting that. They're the only good thing we have in there is that today we can organize better than they could in the 17th or 18th centuries. But otherwise, it really is something called digital colonialism. It's terrible, and it's being inflicted on humans around the planet, but most especially in countries that can't speak up as well about it as we can maybe in Canada. All the current models have been trained on published work about neoliberal business from about the 1950s. So they're trained on capitalism, on globalization, on policies of extracting a maximum amount of wealth for individuals from society. So this is something also called end stage capitalism, kind of famously predicted by a madman. So the principle of economics, right. So it's the neoliberal principle in economics that celebrates externalizing costs from businesses, the externalization of costs from businesses onto society. So the thing is if we listen to the strategies of LLMs, we're going to be reproducing those problems in society. It's not trained on the problems half as much as, or even a tiny much as much as it is trained on how to do business in the American neoliberal way. So it's worldwide. So those externalities in this case, like the pollution, like the problem with the air, like oppression, are they're coming back to kill us. They're a major threat to our survivability as a species, and consequently really do seem high consequence and should be taken into account for any business planning. Now, don't despair. We're not necessarily at despair yet. Our hands and our skills in business, in organizing, in planning, in helping make sure that resources are properly being allocated, in measuring and controlling to see that things are going as they should. Those skills are really needed and useful. So we still need to be building projects with people to make things, to grow things, to invent things. We need that as a society. We really do, because it's how we push back against entropy and destruction. So we need to do both. The problem is if you're going to be using a tool that's going to be reducing your chances of being able to do good long-term for your client, optimal returns, then you need to make sure that the tool isn't making your situation worse rather than better. There's some good news. There's tools out there. So one of them is there's different ways of looking at it, but there's different ways of making impact with our work. We can think of making plans that have impact built in. One model is Research for Impact, developed by Oxfam and doctors Kinney Maria and I'll put it in the links. Sorry, other doctor, who developed this great program. It's a Coursera MOOC. It's free. It gives you in detail how to do what we're going to go over real quick here. The plans to making an impact plan, in their case for research and in climate change, because researchers who have a project want it to have an impact in the same sense that we always want a business plan to have an impact. So borrowing from there, how do we make a plan that's a truly fit to purpose? And here's the thing. It's a 5-step thing. So here we go. I'm going to scroll down and not miss it. So number 1, goal, right? If we agree here that our shared goal is making business plans quickly and well that don't mess with the future. That's the goal. Don't mess with the future, make good business plans. If we're sharing that goal, we go on to step 2. It's a theory of change. So a theory of change is how you think change can happen. So in this case, a theory of change my theory of change is that we can use the skills and the tools of management to make projects that aren't destructive to the future by designing fit to purpose with the network and ecosystems of people who are involved. So yeah, using our skills to build a project that's built in conjunction with people will make it fit to purpose and not destructive. How do we do that? So the steps from the research for impact plan transferred over to business planning for impact, for good impact. Connect the network. So that means getting to know everybody who can be affected by your plan. It's internal, external. We've expanded a little bit from stakeholder in theory, in management theory, from stakeholder to networks. And in this case, what you want to be doing is not only communicating with them and getting to know them, but actually co-designing with them the purpose of the project, first, so that you know why it's like, make, if it's going to be fit to purpose, you need to know the purpose first. So you work with them to define a purpose, and then the means. The means are almost always about capacity building. So that's working with all the network to make sure that the network has the capacity to put the project into place. At Ola, for example, we're building in with a similar theory of change. One of the analogies we use is of a circus tent. The standard big top is circle, but it's also got like these wings and the entry in this. So you can imagine like 20 or 25 people, or hundreds or millions of people, each standing at a post. Like they have their pole and they're ready to, raise it up, but they have to wait for the others, and we have the canvas and we're all going to have to, bring it up together. So in that sense, you work with the network to make sure that people are ready at their posts. To put the project up is really required for fit to purpose. And step 5, you have to monitor the impact. So, keep relations with that network and continuously build on your project. That's some really good business planning. Now, it is based on 2 assumptions. If you've read this, if you've watched this far, there's a good chance we already share these assumptions. But just to be clear, again, 1, we agree that greater community capacity and business capacity is supported by not destroying the environment and not oppressing people. That those things, in fact, destroy capacities long term. That's the first one. Right. I want to clarify, well, we'll get there. The second assumption is that you want to do good. Is that you want to do good with your skills and your time on earth as a business person, as a business consultant, that you want to do good. So that's the assumptions here. So it's a 21st century business plan, and it doesn't condemn the future. It's got these components in it. It's not so different than what we've done before. You'll see that you can use the same tools, pestles and SWOTs and are great instruments to analyze the situations, but we really have to stop with the externalities. There's no such thing. There's just no such thing. And in terms of AI, what you're going to have to do is make sure that you're looking for tools that support your theory of change and don't make your situation worse. We have a trade-off here. Do we want to aim for maximal shareholder return on the short term, or do we want to aim for optimal return on the long term? And of course, the answer is optimal long term. As a controller, as a business person, just as a human being, that just makes more sense for everybody. Part of this might mean that we don't build businesses that make some of us into very wealthy billionaires, while squeezing out the ability of the rest of us to have a decent life. So you use tools to do things that are going to build up your abilities to and the capacities of that network. Also, you have to remember to be humble. No person and no machine can really can predict second order effects. We can't predict them, but the thing is, we can already observe them. The air is less clean, the water is less clean. There's more people suffering. We have more misery. We have a less bright future to offer our descendants and the people that we love. So these things are they're important, but we do have to be humble about them. So we can't walk around and be sure that our idea is the idea that will solve all the problems. There's a lot of ideas to solve a lot of the problems, and that's why getting together with people who are in the network, who are going to be affected, they're the ones together with you, with your skills to help organize, to help make it happen. You become a team member in a group, making something fit to purpose with your skills. It inspires me. I don't know if it inspires you. Probably you've turned off the video by now if it doesn't. So that's it. That's the lens under which I measure an AI system and how it can help me how it can help me make a better business plan. It's poorly trained to do a socially minded business plan or any business plan that's good for society and humans in general. So you need to be conscious of the fact that it's yet another tool to support poor business practices. Oh, and certainly last but not least, again, these are our hands, and they are our hands that can make the future. It's in your hands. The culture of business, the culture around you, it's in your hands, and you have the means and the tools to figure this out. I invite you to get in touch if you have any other questions. And thanks very much for asking. I'm not going to name you, but I really appreciate you asking. There's a form on the website for anybody else who has any questions. You could be anonymous, you could be public. It's up to you. Come on our website, theolafellowship.org, and fill in the form, ask the question. We're going to do our best to answer it one way or the other. Have a great day.